Hey guys, welcome to part 5 of Happy Client Web Build. Uh, your code layout is important when you're getting support from teams or from third parties assistance. And so some of this code here that I've showed you, see how nicely it's indented and things are in blocks. Things are very legible and things are easy to see and read and understand. It's so important that your code is designed like that, guys, and especially I'll show you some other things in the CSS, and as we move the CSS over into its own file, your code can just get huge. It can, it becomes a book, and so it has to be done very nicely and very legibly. You have to have notes in here that make it possible for people to come back and help you and support you. When you put this site together and you hand it to a client, they might have someone else come in and work on the code. They might say, okay, thanks, you've done a great job, and pay you for the website, and then they might have their own in-house team, or they might hire someone else to come in here and fix and work on and maintain the site. So you have to have everything in nice block scenario so that other code ninjas can come in and work on this. You want to have your, if your client walks away with the website and they're very happy with it, and they have another code ninja come in and start working on that, helping them, put stuff together, and that code employee says, stuff looks really nice, it's very legible, it's easy to work on, whoever coded this did a great job, then word of mouth goes a long way. So it's easy to get more work when you've got people and clients that are talking about how well laid out your code is, how legible it is, and how easy it is to work on. So let me take one step further in that to kind of explain that to you. We're going to jump into Trello here. And here we are. We want to do the product display section here. And we've got Jim Shu. We've hired Jim Shu to take care of this for us. And we're sending this information to him so that he can take care of this and get the stuff done for us. We don't have the time to do it, so he's going to get the stuff done for us. And then he's going to send back the code that we need in order to put this image in here. So just a quick little detail thing that we've got here. Let me show you here. So, just very simplistically, what we've done, I'll come back over here and I'll show you. See, this code section right here is in the product display, right? Product display right here. So this section that we've put together here, and this block is this block here, okay? And then up on top here, remember we talked about putting this block here, so it indicates this block into the browser, and then we use the CSS to control that block. And so that block right there is being controlled by this right here. We're saying we want it to be 100% across. We want it to be 250 pixels high. We haven't implemented any padding in any margins or anything in that as of yet, and we're setting up the background to be this. Well, what we want to do is we want to put, let me show you here quickly, we want to put this image in here as we're building this website together in this product location here. So we have planned on and designed this product location here to have this image. So this image can be coming from a third party. It can be an image that you own that's sitting in an IMG folder within the rest of your code. I don't know. It just depends on where that ends up being at the time. For our example and whatnot today, it is an image that we own, and it is sitting in an IMG folder for image within our code. And so what we've done is we've sent this image to this individual along with this request. We're saying that this is our CSS code and that this is our HTML code. We want to put an image in there and send that back to us so that we can just plug that in. So because we have got the CSS doing what we need the CSS to do, and we've got this other code in here, all this individual has to do is do this and do the CSS and just plug in some stuff, but they can take this and do the coding that they need to, and then just send that information back to us, and we can just plug that in without it being a big deal. And again, this is nice. This is where GitHub comes in really nice for project managers and Scrum Masters and stuff of that nature, because this individual can put in a request, and this can come through GitHub, and then those people who are responsible for that can review that without implementing that into the site, because they don't know for sure what the value is, and sometimes code can get so deep you don't know if it's got any bugs or security issues and things of that nature, and so it can be reviewed by a team before it's actually implemented in the site through a GitHub. So that's why GitHub is really nice to purified code that you get back from people who are helping you. But in this case right here, okay, we're coming in here and we're saying we are wanting to add an image, please take care of that accordingly, and the image is provided. Okay, this individual puts the code for us together, and he says, thank you for the opportunity to help you. He says, invoice is attached, of course, always, right? Well, this is the code that he has sent back. So we're going to take this code right here. We're going to come into our code here, and he has made changes to this code, and he has added this other code. So let me go take this right here, we bring this up here, and I'll just move this over accordingly so that it looks pretty. There we go, voila, we'll save that. Then he also sent us this other code right here that we put down into, I'll copy that, and we will put that down into our HTML down here. So you can see that we can just replace that, and or we can put the code that he put in there. So we enter that in there, and then we come over here, and we just keep it nicely indented. Okay, so we want that all to look nice, because as I mentioned, you want this stuff to be very nice and very pretty. So if you ever have to hand this over to anybody, they can put this stuff in here and they can help assist you with that. Okay, now when I refresh this site, we got that nice pretty picture in there. Not only do we have a nice pretty picture in there, but it's also responsive. So everything's done, taken care of. Somebody else, implemented that in there and took care of it for us while we were taking care of a whole bunch of other things. Now, another nice thing about this is, again, as I mentioned, you might be very, very good at front end from the HTML, CSS standpoint, but you are a little uncomfortable with maybe a form or something back end, and you can just take that information and say, this is what I need done in this section, could you please put together this form? And again, they can do that in a secure scenario, and then that is reviewed by your project managers and those who are responsible for that, and then they just implement that into the code. And when your code is written nice and when your code is clean, that's very easy to do. So that's something that I wanted to show you on that. Now the next step is what I wanted to do is take this CSS, and we're going to move this CSS into its own file so that we can start managing that as these code sections start to grow massively. Okay guys, so the next thing we want to do is we're going to take the CSS and we're going to put it in its own file. Now I am in Dreamweaver. I'm doing this stuff in Dreamweaver. I can take you over in Visual Studios and do the same thing there, but I'm just happen to be in Dreamweaver. So I'm going to show you really quick here, because I talked about how Dreamweaver worked as far as, let me show you right here, putting this stuff up in here. Dreamweaver does that when you create the file. So in this case right here, I can come in here, I can choose HTML or PHP or whatever I'm creating. Well, at this time I just happen to be I want to put together a CSS. So I'm creating a new file here for CSS. And this stuff is not pertinent to what we are doing, and so we'll take that out. Okay, so what I want to do then is I want to do a file and I want to do a save as. And in this case, I'm putting this information on our desktop in this CSS folder. So more times than not, you want to put things in a CSS folder. So, and I messed that up because okay, so I'm gonna delete that, knock that off of there, and I'm going to come into my folder here, into my CS, and I'm going to delete this here. I'm going to move that to trash. I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to create that again because I did not name that. What you need to do is name that your CSS. So I'm starting that again, and it's giving me the opportunity as again, we want to take this stuff out. And so what I'm doing is I'm doing a save as, and it's just automatically saving it as a unit 6 whatever. Well, I want to name it as a style, because it's actually a style sheet. So you do style.css. Okay, I'll save that. And then I come over here to the one that we've been doing all of this work with here. And the reason you have to say style here is because you're in your HTML. But if I come here and just take this pertinent information here without grabbing that style, I just cut that stuff out of there so that it's boom gone, and I take that and I paste that into here. Okay, and again, I want to choose this. I select all that and I move that back like that because I want everything to be nice and pretty so that I can manage it and other folks can come by and manage that. Okay, so then at this case, this style comes out because I no longer need that unless I am trying to do a few other basic things, and I just want to be able to see the CSS here while I'm working with the site without having to jump back and forth. But for the most part, that's done. Now what I've got here, and I've already gone out and put this information in here, so I'm just going to uncomment that out so that you can see that. This is now a link, and this link it calls out in this respect. First off, it needs to be told that it is a style sheet, and then it references this location, which is the CSS folder that I just showed you, and we named it style.css. And then this just shows a type that it's a text CSS. And so as I save that, it now knows that it goes to that location and it pulls the CSS, and now it gets the same support from the CSS as it once had in the header. It knows where to go get that. So if we come over here now and we refresh that, boom, we don't have any problems at all. Everything jumps right back in place with our site. So that's how you do that, and that's how you put your CSS in that. Now basically what that's doing is see how much smaller this is. Your code can get very extensive and very deep, so anytime you can take parts and pieces and put them in a more manageable file and then refer to those elements or other parts of the code from here, it makes it much easier to maintain, read, and just keep a nice platform. So you're creating less bugs, you're causing less problems, and when you do get a bug you need to go back in and fix, it's a lot easier to chase it down and figure out what's going on, what's broke, what's wrong, when you have your code in small bite-sized pieces like this as possible. You don't want to get real stupid and carry away and have every little piece done. You know, some of this still gets rather large, but by breaking these down like that, it does make it possible to, it alleviates a lot of bugs and a lot of mistakes. So we'll jump in and do these other parts. In part 6, we'll start putting this thing together.